Hello and welcome back to another long form video. I know it's been 5 months. Jesus Christ. I am sorry for that. But today we're gonna be doing everything's getting blurry and hazy. Oh, where am I? Whoa, I look different. That was stupid. Now that we got the intro out of the way, let's start with the honorable mentions for my top 5 EPs of the year. Beginning with Hidden Gems by Cake. Hidden Gems was Cake's first release after her April debut album, Koshka. This is a 5-track EP with 3 of the tracks being vocal tracks and 2 of them containing features from Robin's Ghost and Mondo the Alien. The standout track on this is the loud and braggadocious track 2, Rainbow Chords. Originally this EP was uploaded as a Bandcamp exclusive on August 5th, 2022, but was then further released to all streaming platforms a week later. Cake gives us a sort of transitional project from the Koshka era to whatever her next album will be next, as we get some similar subject matters but a new style of production from Cake. This EP acts as a care package to hold over fans until the next drop, as shown on the outro of Puppy Cat's Amulet, where Cake teases a future release in a text-to-speech prompt. The next honorable mention that I have is Mondo's Mad World Volume 2, Mondo Sad World. Mondo's Mad World Volume 2, Mondo Sad World, is the second installation in the Mondo's Mad World project series, but rather than this project being another collection of B-sides like the previous installment was, this is a 4-track EP of Midwest emo songs. This was a welcome change of pace to Mondo's catalog, as she is primarily a hip-hop artist, but this project shows how Mondo will not allow herself to be boxed into one genre. Alongside Mondo on this project, we have vocals from her brother, King Haven, on the outro track, Garfield Pill Holder. Mondo's Mad World Volume 2, Mondo Sad World, is an incredibly personal point of view in every track. This EP shows off the diversity to expect from the Mondo's Mad World series, but also from Mondo the Alien as a musician. Next up is Solar by redboy. Solar is a 5-track EP from redboy, and the selling point of this project is that he made it all in the span of 24 hours. Every track on this project is a back-to-back banger containing a bunch of braggadocious bars and banging instrumentals. This is a collection that serves as a short display of talent for redboy's writing and vocal capabilities and excites me for his next release. And then we have MUGUETE by Sweet. MUGUETE is a 4-track EP from the 15-year-old producer Sweet. Sweet is a producer that makes sample loop beats on their phone with Koala Sampler and puts out a high-quality product every time. Sweet enlists the likes of Kitty Morningstar, Goat Boy, Amir Scott, Hippie Mal, TDK, and Cake to curate an infectious and replayable project. I view this EP as a good introduction to Sweet and his style of production, and a teaser for his upcoming debut album, The Sweet Tape. And now on to Goodbye Delicious by Sheikah. Goodbye Delicious is the debut 3-track EP from the Oregon rapper-producer Sheikah. This project really shows off Sheikah's ability in production and his infectious swagger that seeps through each track. Each track flows seamlessly into each other and tells an encapsulating story of love through the runtime, and makes me feel excited to see how this TikTok popularized rapper-producer will continue to grow in the future. And next up on the honorable mentions is Simple by IDK. Simple is the 8-track EP from IDK, and it seems to be his most experimental project to date. This project sees IDK combining elements of hip-hop and R&B in his vocal performance, then introducing the element of dance/EDM on the production done by Cryalot on all 8 tracks. IDK shows off his ability to write catchy song after catchy song with songs like Dog Food, Zaza Tree, and Taco. Not only does this show off IDK's writing ability, but also his diversity in his vocal inflections and the amount of styles that he can successfully pull off. This EP has been confirmed for a sequel, and I am beyond excited for what IDK and Cryalot have in store for us. After Simple, we have Adventure Part 2 by OkayKirk. Adventure Part 2 is a 4-track EP that is a sequel to OkayKirk's 2020 release, Adventure. This EP is a mixture of hip-hop and bedroom pop with an upbeat attitude. The subject matters on this EP are all about very real problems, like the fear of not succeeding in college, as well as having an addiction to coffee. This self-produced EP is a welcome next step into the discography of OkayKirk and further shows off her skills in rapping, singing, and producing, and was a great precursor for her debut album that came out later this year. Next up, we have Lotus by Sheikah. Lotus is a 6-track, 13-minute EP where Sheikah is finally expressing himself vocally on her project, whereas he was strictly a producer before this. With features from Robin's Ghost, Mondo the Alien, It's Disbelief, Jaylock, Big Bill, and OkayKirk, Sheikah provides a supporting cast of artists to add to the allure of this tape. But even with these features, Sheikah is able to provide the standout performance on every track. The subject matter on Sheikah's end revolves around the effects of holding yourself back on track 4, No Crown, and the fear of staying the same on track 5, Same Old. The Scottish rapper-producer truly comes through for an enjoyable and replayable debut vocal EP that is definitely worth checking out. Up next is Hip Hop 50 Volume 1 by DJ Premier. Hip Hop 50 Volume 1 by DJ Premier is a beautiful merge of the old school and new school. Each track sounds like it was straight out of the 90s, especially with features from hip-hop legends like Remy Ma, Nas, Run the Jewels, Slick Rick, and Lil Wayne, but also mixing in the new school with features from Joey Badass on the intro track track Letting Off Steam, and Rhapsody on the powerful track 2 Remy Rap. This is the first installment in the EP series, Hip Hop 50, and I'm highly anticipating the next installment in the series. And then to close off the honorable mentions list, we have Icarus by Cryalot. Icarus is the debut EP by Cryalot, the alter alias of Caro Caro Bonito's Sarah Bonito. This project is otherworldly and tells the beautiful story of Icarus. Throughout the 6-track runtime, we are met with a gorgeous combination of new and old sounds from Sarah Bonito. This debut solo project was a very solid release, and I look forward to more releases from Sarah under the Cryalot alias. Alright, now that we're done with all the honorable mentions for the EPs, let's get into my top 5 EPs of 2022, starting with Nisemono by Ginger Root. Nisemono is a 6-track EP from the multifaceted artist Ginger Root. This EP is a blend of retro city pop with a mix of modern bedroom pop production. Throughout the runtime of Nisemono, we are met with a main character of a runaway musician who struggles with imposter syndrome, depression, and the confusing emotions of love and heartbreak. While Ginger Root's sound wears its inspirations on its sleeve, that doesn't take away from the jaw-dropping world that Ginger Root founder Cameron Law created for us. I randomly found this project on the Spotify radio and was very happy to look more into it, and am very excited to go back through Ginger Root's discography. Then at the number 4 spot, we have Those Who Sleep by Jaylock. Those Who Sleep is the debut 4-track EP from Jaylock, and his Spotify bio describes the sound of this project perfectly, this being introspective gloom bap. This EP is a grimy, self-produced, and introspective project with a very distinct mix and production style that complements Jaylock's voice and subject matters very well. The one feature of Mondo the Alien works well as they are both alumni of the collective After School Death Club, and delivers one of the best features and overall collaborations from the underground. With the 3 vocal tracks, we get a lot of insight on Jaylock's thought processes and mindset through this project's runtime. Also, the instrumental outro further proves Jaylock's perfection as a producer. Those Who Sleep is a promising beginning to Jaylock's journey into being more vocally present in his music. And then at the number 3 spot, we have Vox and Rama by Clowncat. Vox and Rama is a 6-track EP from the producer Clowncat. This EP explores a variety of subjects between all of the 9 feature rappers on this project. I'm talking on the struggles of daily life between politics and financial problems with Sincerely Yours and Unruly on track 2, Dirty Politics, to YL bragging and flexing his lyrical ability and how his skill and attention he is gaining in the music industry attracts unwanted snakes in his circle on track 4, Grown Man Business. With all the topics being discussed on this EP, there has to be high quality instrumentals to match the vocal abilities of the feature artist, and this EP provides just that. Clowncat hits us with beautiful but hard-hitting instrumentals that alone can put the listener into a trance. Vox and Rama is a masterclass in producer projects, showing off Clowncat's skill in catering to others' sound without sacrificing their own. And next up at the number 2 spot, we have Ego Underconfidence by Moochie. Ego Underconfidence is an incredibly introspective 4-track EP where Moochie discusses his problems revolving around his ego and his life. All 4 tracks are fully produced by Moochie and show off his diversity in not only rapping and singing, like on Ego's Villain, but his diversity in production, as you can go from a sample loop on the intro track, Poet in the Park, to a personal piano and cinematic instrumental on the outro track, Pathetic. This project is a step-by-step walkthrough of Moochie's mind and how he views himself and provides a sincere, self-reflective outlet for him. This EP also got a deluxe release which added 2 more tracks to add to the cohesiveness of this project. And finally, at the number 1 spot is the beautiful AZ Winter by It's Disbelief. AZ Winter is a 4-track EP that came out on December 16th, 2022. The subject matter on this EP is different on each track, as It's Disbelief discussed what issue he was feeling on the day that he recorded. Like on one of the 2 Bandcamp bonus tracks, AC, It's Disbelief discusses a previous friendship that fell through. With the addition of the 1 feature Matt 240p on Weight, It's Disbelief brings a welcome new collaborator that pulls his weight on his verse, where Matt discusses his struggles with depression and struggles with finding a style in music to pursue. AZ Winter is a short project that is introspective yet experimental for where It's Disbelief is at in his career right now. And needless to say, this EP exudes the same exact energy that the album cover gives off. Okay, now that we're done with the top 5 EPs of 2022, let's get into the honorable mentions for the top 10 albums of 2022. First up, we got Louie by Kenny Beats. Louie is the debut album from the producer Kenny Beats. While Kenny has made plenty of collab albums before with various artists from the likes of Freddie Gibbs, Rico Nasty, and most recently Denzel Curry on Unlocked in 2020, a huge appeal of Kenny's production is hearing his chemistry in the beats with the artist he is making the track with. With that being said, there are features on this album, but none that are listed on the track list. It is very interesting to hear how the hidden features are able to adapt to Kenny's production style, especially when he is trying to make a cohesive and consistent sound for this album. Kenny's use of samples on this project is very unique compared to other songs that use the same samples as he did here, like on the tracks Drop 10 by Kenny Beats and Out of Sight by Run the Jewels, which both sample the song Misdemeanor by Foster Silvers. This album shows off Kenny Beats' production skill to the nth percent and leaves me hungry for more projects like this in the future. And next on on the honorable mentions list is Big Bill Sings the Blues. Big Bill Sings the Blues is an 11-track hip-hop album that comes from the formerly Chicago-based rapper Big Bill. Also, the tone of this album is exactly that, Chicago. From the early Kanye-inspired production on 5 PM to the album art that shows off a creased Chicago 1, this project's inspirations may be very apparent, but it is constantly paying respects to its predecessors like on Stomach Aches, where Big Bill builds the whole song off of a quote from Q-Tip off of the track We Got the Jazz. There are many styles of delivery that Bill implores on this project, from him and GB Mystical going back and forth on uncertainty, to the singy rap used in the bittersweet outro, Work Friend. This album is a celebration of Chicago and Bill's time in the city, but this project only opens a new era for Bill to enter musically. Then up next is Fragments of a Lost Reality by OkayKirk. Fragments of a Lost Reality is the 16-track debut album from OkayKirk, which is an entirely self-produced, mixed, and mastered project. This album is split up into 2 zones, with the first half acting as a sequel to OkayKirk's 2021 EP, Notes I Took While Drifting Through Space, while the second half acts as a step forward in OkayKirk's music journey. A major selling point of this album is its insane list of features, like Hi I'm Chris, Mondo the Alien, It's Disbelief, and 10 more on top of that, which acts as a sort of culmination of the most talented artists in this underground community, whether this was intentional or not. On some tracks there is no vocal presence from OkayKirk, but her energy still shrouds each track. She is on with her insane blend of hip-hop, EDM, and trap production. This project barely made it on the list, but not due to the quality of the project, but with the time that this project came out being on December 30th, right at the end of the year. After this, we have Plastic by Melty Cannon. Plastic was the first of 3 albums that Melty Cannon came out with this year. This 11-track album was given to fans on July 21st, but only after being announced surprisingly the day before its release. This album highlights Melty Cannon's proficiency with production, but also his singing ability. Melty Cannon provides a very high-quality masterclass in a beautiful mixture of pop, folk, and hip-hop throughout the 30-minute length. Every track on Plastic has at least one quotable lyric that will get stuck in your head all day. Melty Cannon's instrumentation and writing skills and how they complement each other are shown on full display with tracks like the intro track, Aporo, and track 3, Beach. Despite the title of this album, I feel that describing this album as the audio version of walking around a garden at sunset is the most accurate. The next up is the highly anticipated Few Good Things by Saba. Few Good Things is the first album that we have gotten from Saba since his 2018 album, Care For Me. This is an album that fully encapsulates the sound of modern-day Chicago. Saba comes through with a standout performance that shows off tons of different styles that Chicago is known for in the 14-track runtime. From the trap track 3, Survivor's Guilt with G Herbo, to the introspective boom bap outro and title track Few Good Things with Black Thought and Aaron Allen Kane. I was counting down the years until this project's release because of my obsession with Care For Me, and even though this project is a completely different style from that album, I think this album meets its predecessor's quality if not exceeds it. And then next is Loopy by Mia Gladstone. Loopy is the debut album from producer, singer, and songwriter Mia Gladstone. This project is super interesting as it acts as a producer album with 7 of the 11 tracks containing features which emphasize Mia Gladstone's ability to curate her sound to also fit her features sound. Not only is Mia's production outstanding, but also her singing and ability to make a catchy hook never fails. A standout feature performance for me would have to be Tizo Touchdown on track 5, Open Letter, where we get a sort of new style from Tizo that we have not seen before that caters more towards a poppy sound. This project may have a corny track here and there, but I think the talent of Mia Gladstone should not go unnoticed. The next honorable mention is the collab album Foraging Pizza by Cold Pizza and Foraging. Foraging Pizza is the collaborative album from the rapper-producers Cold Pizza and Foraging. From the look of the name and tracklist of this album, you would think that this was a rapper-producer collab album, but the production and vocals are actually split equally between Cold Pizza and Foraging, as they both produce and rap on this album. This collab album also happens to be both of these artists' debut projects. Songs like Watch Me and Sweet Treat show off both Cold Pizza and Foraging's writing ability, as these both have introspective verses but also catchy hooks that'll get stuck in your head for days after listening. The chemistry between them can be heavily felt through the 13-song track list, and how they are able to work with each other's styles, while creating a unique sound for the listener to get engulfed in and wanting more from after the 27-minute runtime. Next up is the final album by Brockhampton, The Family. The Family is the final album, at least it was advertised as this, by Brockhampton. Or should I just say Kevin Abstract, because he's the only member vocally present on this album. This project is more of an album about Brockhampton and its rise and fall from the perspective of its founder. This 17-track finale has ups and downs that ultimately leaves an uncomfortable but very introspective performance from Kevin Abstract. However, the subject matters revolve around more than just the rise and fall of the band, but also with Kevin's alcoholism, relationship with his mother, his inflated ego, and how he corrupted his friendships with his bandmates, with there also being more topics than that. Knowing that everything presented on this album is based in reality sincerity and is coming from the heart, Kevin Abstract manages to create one of the most thought-provoking albums of his entire career. This album feels like an open and bittersweet letter to the fans of Brockhampton, and I feel that this showstopper of an album provides us with the proper finale that answers dozens of questions about the status and relationships of the members of the boy band. All I know is that I miss the band already. Next up, we have an album that could have made it into my top 10 if I just listened to it more, and that is Learn to Swim by Redveil. Learn to Swim is the third album from the 18-year-old producer and rapper Redveil, after waiting 2 years from his highly successful album that put Redveil on the map, Niagara. If Niagara was the album that caught people's eye, Learn to Swim is the album that solidified Redveil in this genre, as this project shows off what beautiful and cohesive piece a young, creative, and gifted musician can create with a budget. This 12-track album is entirely produced, written, and arranged by Redveil himself, and with this project coming out on his 18th birthday means that he made this project through the age of 16 and 17. As he said, this album took a year and 3 months to complete. The raw talent displayed over the 35-minute runtime is unmatched to his peers even 5 years his senior. This project shows Redveil maturing as not only an artist, but as a person as well, and gives me even higher hopes from what he can do in the future. Up next, we have Grieving and Growing Up by Atlas. Grieving and Growing Up is the first album we have gotten from Atlas since her 2016 debut album, Skeletons, as well as the first music we have gotten after her long 3-year hiatus. This album shows off where Atlas has been mentally and artistically throughout her hiatus. The genres on this album span on a wide variety, from a Midwest emo song on the intro track, Tar Pit Demo, to an experimental hip-hop song on track 4, Galactic Escape Room 80% World Record Holder, then to an almost hyper-pop-like song on track 7, Life Drinker. The arrangement is the standout appeal of this album to me, as it is super unique with the pacing, placements, and types of songs that she made to come together to make a convoluted but cohesive project. I personally think this album will have a large impact on the underground scene, as where Atlas came from musically before this album was a much more stereotypical lo-fi sound. So I hope this album inspires others not to put themselves in a box of one genre and expand their horizons. Next up is the Bandcamp exclusive Get Wet Radio by Z Loopers. Get Wet Radio is the Bandcamp exclusive album from Z Loopers that came out on March 18th, 2022. This album sees Z Loopers experimenting even further than usual with his sound and delivery, with this project going for more of a pop, R&B, and house sound over Z Loopers' standard offbeat hip-hop. This album marks a huge shift in sound for Z Loopers that has sadly gone rather untalked about due to its limited availability because of it being a Bandcamp exclusive release, so just go check it out. And the next honorable mention is Dirtiest Nastiest Suicide by Suicide Boys and Germ. Dirtiest Nastiest Suicide is the long-awaited collab album between Suicide Boys and Germ, and acts as a sequel to the 2017 collab EP, Dirtier Nastier Suicide. This album has had over 6 years of hype building up around it, and it seems to be addressed in the title of the intro track being Sorry for the Delay. With a handful of teasers being posted throughout mid-2021, the hype was only building up more and more within the fan base. Then over a year later, on November 27th, 2022, Suicide Boys and Germ announced the project officially. This project delivers on the sound that the collaborators have delivered in the previous installments of the series, with much praise from fans. With all the tracks being produced by Suicide Boys alumni Bud Dwyer, this project delivers a consistent, fast-paced, and catchy track list that provides a quick 20-minute runtime, but doesn't sacrifice any quality. And next up is Too Much Digital by MB Matthews. Too Much Digital is an 8-track album that is entirely self-produced and is a mix of indie pop, R&B, and hip-hop. The aurora and aesthetic of this album is exactly as the title would suggest, digital. From the album cover to the glitchy and synthy instrumentals, this album stays true to its base. The only song I would say is straying a bit from the overall setting would be Hand in a Crowd with Hi I'm Chris, which feels more like an optimistic outro to an otherwise sad themed project. This theme is most apparent on the title track Too Much Digital and I Just Wanna Be Right Here. Speaking of features, which there are only 2 of, that consist of the aforementioned Hi I'm Chris as well as Kevin Kempt. Too Much Digital is 18 minutes of a cohesive story of love and heartbreak. The next album on the list is Bistro by Robin's Ghost. Bistro is the 17-track debut album from Indiana rapper Robin's Ghost. This 48-minute album released on September 23rd, 2022, and sees Robin's Ghost getting more personal than we have ever seen before from them. The subject matters on this project range from heartbreak to their struggles with depression and insomnia. The 3 featured artists on this project are from It's Disbelief, Mondo the Alien, and Cake, with the latter providing 2 standout performances on Dissertation No. 1 and Cherry Blossom. The sparse use of features on this project shows Robin's ability to carefully choose artists that are able to adapt to his style without sacrificing any of their charm. Bistro is also available for purchase on Bandcamp and adds an extra 6 bonus tracks, bringing up the runtime to 1 hour. And the last album on the honorable mentions list for the top 10 albums of 2022 is The Forever Story by ZachJaDa. The Forever Story is the long-awaited sequel to ZachJaDa's debut album, The Never Story. After the wait since the 2017 debut, we got the album that shows off ZachJaDa's writing and vocal ability that are on another level than we have ever seen before. The main thing that ZachJaDa delivered on this album is includes his insane pen game showing off his proficiency in storytelling, double and triple entendres, and being able to write catchy and quotable hooks on songs like track 3, Dance Now with Kenny Mason, and track 8, Bread with Lil Durk. This album sees JID getting the most personal and vulnerable we have ever seen from him, with subject matters ranging from the struggle of his come up, his hustle to achieve his goals, and addressing specific people in his life like on track 9, Systonym. This album was originally released on August 26, 2022. However, on November 2nd, 2022, JID announced that the intended album outro 2007 would be released the next day on November 3rd, 2022. This album has brought out the best in JID on all fronts and makes me very excited to hear his next release, which I'm sure will be even better. Alright, now that we're done with the honorable mentions for the best albums of 2022, let's get down to my top 10 albums, starting with Sick by Earl Sweatshirt at the number 10 spot. Sick by Earl Sweatshirt is a 10-track experimental hip-hop album, and that says a lot coming from an Earl Sweatshirt album, as he is partially known for how experimental and innovative his sound has been for the underground. From the intro track Old Friend, which is a short but cinematic song consisting mainly of violins and random spacey sound effects, then transitions into a futuristic sample loop beat, which is the polar opposite of what Old Friend was. The two features on this project are back-to-back on the track list, these being Z-Loopers on Vision and Arm & Hammer on Tabula Rosa, with Vision providing one of Z-Looper's best feature verses, as well as one of my favorite verses this year. Sick was released at a turbulent time of the year in January, where we still weren't 100% sure where the world was going after the pandemic, and I feel it kinda got overshadowed by this fact. This project sees Earl providing some of the best tracks in his catalog, but is still relatively not talked about compared to the rest of his discography, so I urge you to please go give it a re-listen. The next up at the number 9 spot, we have See You There by Matt Watson. See You There is the debut album from comedian, YouTuber, and musician Matt Watson. This is Matt's first full commitment into his passion within music. The genre of this album can honestly not be defined, as Matt jumps from a rap song on Ring Pop with Father to the glitzy and mesmerizing intro track Star Stud with Sarah Bonito of Caro Caro Bonito fame. Going into this project, you would expect it to be comical with Matt's background with Super Mega and his other known ventures. However, Matt balances his raw emotion with small amounts of comical bits intertwined through the outros of some songs and interludes throughout the runtime. The majority of the album's subject matter revolves around falling in love and then heartbreak. The production on this album is essentially 50-50 between Matt and various other producers like Hi I'm Chris, Cesar, Roku Beats, and others. The majority of this album is from the perspective of Matt, but there are two story-based songs from alternative perspectives on Wacky and Aquarium. This first delve into a professional style project from Matt gives me more hope than ever for future releases, and I really hope he continues to experiment with his production and vocal range. And at the number 8 spot, we have Sycamore by Mondo the Alien. Sycamore is an 11-track hip-hop project discussing Mondo the Alien's life up until this point. A lot of substance comes from Mondo's raw lyricism that she displays throughout the 33-minute runtime. There is not one line on this album that does not feel necessary to the message Mondo is trying to convey. There are 3 major topics that Mondo bounces between. These are her relationships with her mother, past friends, and the Catholic Church. The way that Mondo discusses these topics is just heartbreaking and creates one of the most emotionally impactful releases of 2022. With no features on this project, Mondo truly shows off her skills as a rapper and producer, as 5 of the 11 tracks are produced by her. Mondo is able to give us a glimpse into her life and her mental state with the situations she describes. I'm very excited for her next release, and I think you should be too. Then after that, at the number 7 spot, we have You Are a Liar and You Suck, Who Would Love You by Aerospace. You're a Liar and You Suck, Who Would Love You is the 13-track, 35-minute album from Aerospace. This album is the spiritual successor to Aerospace's 2021 album, Azalea. This album's production ranges from Griselda-esque boom bap beats on 17th Street Northeast to dark and grimy trap beats on Super Wind Turbo 1991, and then to airy sample loops like on the intro track Who Would Love You. This is not surprising due to the wide variety of producers that worked on this album, like Raw Styles, Caleb Fesco, and K-Mato respectively. As well as a wide array of producers, there are also a wide array of vocal features on this tape from Roxy Williams, Batsu aka NGS, Ryokuza, 90 Wise, Johnny Wolf, and Anastasia Elliott, with 2 of these 6 features being from international artists. There is a wide variety of topics that Aerospace discusses through the runtime, but the most notable topic to me has to be the theme of betrayal, as hinted at in the title of the album and discussed furthermore on track 6, Another Love. Aerospace comes back again with another yearly release which surpasses any expectations going into it. And then next up at number 6, we have You Do Not Exist Beyond My Perception by It's Disbelief. You Do Not Exist Beyond My Perception is a 13-track experimental hip-hop album that explores a wide variety of topics from It's Disbelief's struggle with his self-image to him not feeling valued in the music community and workplace. If you purchase this project on Bandcamp, the album becomes a 14-track experience, with the addition of the bedroom pop bonus track Earth, a Starstruck Demo, which is added between verse 2 and the outro Stream of Consciousness, as well as 4 other bonus tracks and alternative art. With the help from the 8 features from I Love You So Much, OkayKirk, Cake, Mojica, Hi I'm Chris, Chris, Robin's Ghost, Mondo the Alien, and Big Bill, this album never fails to take you by surprise sonically. You Do Not Exist Beyond My Perception is a project full of sporadic styles that further supports the overlapping theme of the album. Then at the number 5 spot, we have Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is the 7th album by Kendrick Lamar and is his last album under Top Dog Entertainment. After countless posts on his website oklama.com teasing this release, we finally received it on May 13th, 2022, after patiently waiting since 2017 since his last drop. This 18-track album touches on topics such as masculinity, grief, homophobia, survivor's guilt, past trauma, and confronting said trauma, and much more. With that being said, this double LP contains some of the most vulnerable and self-reflective content we have heard from Kenny throughout all of his career. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is a huge step in a new direction sonically for Kendrick Lamar. This album is a mixture of experimental boom bap, trap, and R&B, and with supporting artists such as Ghostface Killah, Kodak Black, Baby Keem, Sampha, Summer Walker, and most memorably, the actress Taylor Page on We Cry Together. This cast of creatives helps Oklama truly realize this album's full concept. With all this being said, this album was truly worth the 1,855-day wait. And at number 4, we have Melt My Eyes, See Your Future by Denzel Curry. Melt My Eyes, See Your Future is the latest album from Denzel Curry and his self-dubbed magnum opus as of January 2023. This album sees Denzel Curry improving his writing and storytelling abilities by tenfold, as well as his visual storytelling through the 3 music videos and live show for this album. This album sees Denzel Curry exploring topics more mature than previous albums, but rather Denzel coming with an aggressive flow for the majority of the album, he decides to come at us with a more calm down and focused delivery. I wouldn't let this detract you from tuning into this release because the 2 tracks, The Smell of Death and Sanjuro, that do come with the aggressive energy make for very catchy and replayable moments. This Akira Kurosawa inspired story comes to a beautiful close on the outro track, The Ills, where Denzel reflects on his life up until that point and makes it feel like I'm watching the end credits of a movie. And then Denzel Curry dropped the extended edition of Melt My Eyes, See Your Future on September 30th, 2022 and showed off his love and appreciation for music as a whole with it. Denzel teamed up with the Cold-Blooded Soul Band to remake the instrumentals for a majority of the songs on the original album to create an alternative live version of the album, instrumentation and rapping. Alongside the new format for the album, Denzel added 2 bonus tracks that slide smoothly into the track list, with one of them featuring one of my favorite hooks of the year, provided by Zakari. Denzel Curry has to be my favorite and most consistent rapper living today, and I'm very curious to see how he pushes his career forward after this. Then surprisingly, at the number 3 spot, we have No Matter How I Look At It by I Love You So Much. No Matter How I Look At It is the mid-year album release from Canadian rapper I Love You So Much. This album is loud, obnoxious, and all over the place at the same time, with this project being formerly known as YouTube Poop Rap Aesthetics 2 in the early development of this album, so I think that former title gives you a clear idea of what the sound of this album really is. I Love You So Much's talent of beat selection is shown off up front with how the production complements their unique voice and delivery, but also every one of the features present on this album as well. The lyrics on this project range from late 2000s YouTube poop references to I Love You So Much's struggle with depression, then to how they'll sneak out in the middle of the night and murder someone, all in one song. This 18-track album teeters on the edge of being experimental hip-hop and an almost hyperpop-esque style perfectly, as this allows I Love You So Much to attempt any sound, no matter how obnoxious or pretty it sounds, they want to attempt without question. All the features on this project match that sound so well, and a majority being from fellow members of Crash Blossom, with my standout performance being from Black Winter Wells on track 4, Trying to Get It, where the primarily hyperpop artist delivers one of the smoothest and well-delivered hip-hop verses that exudes confidence that I have ever heard. This album made me look more into the genre as a whole and led me to find numerous other amazing artists, so for that I am further grateful for this album's existence. And my second favorite album of the year is 10 by Westside Gunn. 10 by Westside Gunn is the 10th and final installment in the Hitler Wears Hermes mixtape series, with the release of this project also marking the 10-year anniversary of the series as well. This is basically just a 12-track celebration of Westside Gunn's career, which is most notable on the track Mac Don't Stop, where Westside Gunn flexes his accomplishments within the series of projects. Alongside the typical Griselda label mates featuring on this tape, there is also a star-studded cast of rap legends accompanying Westside Gunn. From Blackstar to Raekwon, nobody disappoints with their contributions, but Westside Gunn still out-raps them. The most notable feature for me was from Doughboy, surprisingly, on the trap intro Fly God Jr., where Westside Gunn's own son produced the track. Also with producing credits from The Alchemist, Pete Rock, and the RZA on the spoken intro, this album always manages to have a twist at every turn, and with DJ Drama being the album's host, this is an energetic display of skill from front to back. If this album's features doesn't prove that Westside Gunn is one of this generation's greatest curators, I don't know what would. I think this project is a perfect send-off to an amazing and groundbreaking series. This project is probably my favorite installment in the whole Hitler Wears Hermes series. And finally, my favorite album of 2022 is Kashka by Cake. Kashka is a 13-track album from the Austin-based rapper Cake. Kashka is an entirely self-produced, mixed, and mastered album from a kid at the age of 17, and that just displays Cake's talent as a rapper, producer, and engineer as well. With features from Kenny Morningstar, Rose Gold, Mondo the Alien, Robin's Ghost, and MF Zeph, there are a lot of notable collaborations, like on the Posse cut Nekaniru. A lot of the subject matter on this project revolves around human rights issues, depression, and money. This 13-track onslaught of skill is just shy of 30 minutes and never slows down, except on the introspective track 9, Tea Parties. If you were to buy this album on Cake's Bandcamp page, which you totally should, you would get a demo track, all of the instrumentals, 2 unused instrumentals, as well as a beautiful alternative cover art. This album encapsulates everything that I want to hear from an up-and-coming artist, from the raw hunger to the passion seeping through each track, and that is why Kashka by Cake is my album of the year. Alright, so yep, that is my top 5 EPs and top 10 albums of 2022. Please go give a listen to each and every one of these albums and EPs, because it's just good music, so why not? And I would also like to mention at the end of this video that I started a Discord server. You can join if you want to. Also, ZachJaDa did all the art and his links are in the description. But there's a lot in store for 2023 for this channel, so make sure you guys stick around. And I guess I'll see you in the next video.